Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to see how do we use exception handling in Python and what are the ways how that can be implemented. Just to give you a brief understanding, exception handling is a method through which the program handles the errors that are generated within the code. Now, whenever you're writing a code or whenever you're writing a program, there might be multiple scenarios where some exception might be generated because of the issues in logic or because of some other issues. In those scenarios, there must be a way how do we handle those exception, otherwise the program will simply crash. And that is very important when it comes to software development or when it comes to program implementation or coding for some real life applications. So in today's video, we are going to see how we can implement the same in Python. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So let me zoom in a bit. So what I have done is essentially I have created some bare backbone code with three values, which is 20, value 1, 0 as value 2, and 10 as value 3. I will try to keep this video short, and that's why I have written all the code bases previously, which I'm gonna uncomment at every step to explain you what it actually means. So firstly, whenever you're writing a code, there might be multiple scenarios in which you are performing some logical errors, or might be you're trying to invoke some external APIs, and or might be you're trying to perform some kind of a computation, and there are some errors which you are not aware might be generated. In those scenarios, exception handling is indeed a lot required. For example, let's take this scenario, in which case you have value 1 which is 20, value 2 as 0, value 3 as 10. Now when I am calculating result, which is value 1 by value 2, which is 20 by 0, so obviously division by 0 in mathematical term is not possible, and it's kind of an infinite value that you get. So when you're trying to execute this code, your program will raise an exception and your program will crash. And this exception in this case, as it is something a number is being divided by 0, it's the 0 division error exception that is happening. And since we are not handling those exception, the program is crashing and thus the control is exiting. Now, in order to handle the exception, we need to use something known as try. So try catch blocks are available in every programming language, and using try and except catch, finally there are multiple keywords associated with it, you can handle all these errors. So whenever I'm trying to implement, let's say, this particular line, I know it might generate some issues or it might generate some error, so I'll put this under a try block, and under using the keyword except, we are going to handle this issue or handle this error. So whenever an error gets generated inside the try block, the control automatically goes into the except block. And now when I'm running this piece of code where I am handling the exception, what I will get printed as some error occurred, because that is where it entered here, the exception was generated, and that's why you're getting whatever is printed or whatever is written inside the except block. Now if I replace this value 1 with value 3, it will execute this and there won't be any other print statement. So simply, since there are no print statements, the execution gets completed without any errors. So this is how you use the simplest form of try and except, and that's how you handle the errors. Now let's say you want to handle a specific type of error. In this case, in the above example, where we are trying to handle division by 0, so there is a particular type of exception called 0 division error, which is provided by Python. So whenever you are executing this piece of code, except for getting a generalized message, you can explicitly handle that this is a 0 division error, and that if a 0 division error is happening, it will print something else if there are some other errors, let's say index error. So this usually happens if you're trying to access an element inside an array or inside a list which does not exist in that particular position. In those cases, index error happens. So when I'll be executing this block, since I have explicitly defined zero division error, the control will be in this particular statement, and it won't enter the index error block. So when I'm executing this, as it's written in this print statement, which is can't divide by 0, it will enter here and not over here. So this is the way how you are handling the particular exception. Now let's say we have handled that exception and we want to execute something else after all the exception has been handled. Else block will be executed when there are no exceptions that is happening. So whatever has happening is happening inside a try block gets executed, and if it generates an exception, it will go inside the except block. If it doesn't generate an exception, it will go into the else block. So let's say if I replace value 3 by value 2, by default it should enter here and not here. So clearing the console, sorry, yeah, okay, I have by mistake I have already executed this code base. Yeah, so it's can't divide by 0 and this else block won't be executed. So I'm sorry, I have said I got confused between the else and finally keyword. So else block will be executed only when there are no exceptions that are happening. So in this case, since an exception is already happening, so it enters the except block and not the else block. And here if I give value 3, then it will simply go into the error free, which is a else block. Now finally we are going to use a finally keyword. So finally keyword is executed. Finally keyword is executed. It's basically a keyword, and whatever you write inside the finally block, that will be executed when everything has been completed. That is the exception handling, the block of code which will be executed if there are no errors. When everything has been completed, then only the finally block will be executed. So let's say in the first case scenario where there are no errors, when I'm executing this, I think, yes, I need to comment this part, otherwise it will get super confusing. Save, clear the console. Yeah, so since it has there are no exception, it has gone to the else block, error free, it has printed, and then it has entered finally, which is all done and dusted. Now let's say, let me generate an error, which is value 2, which should generate a zero division error. So again I will clear the console and execute it. So it has generated that error, which is the zero division error, printed that statement, handled the exception, can't divide by 0, and then it has again gone to the finally block, which is all done and dusted. So essentially when you are using the finally block, it will get executed irrespective of the fact whether an exception has occurred or not. The else block gets executed whenever there are no exceptions, and whenever there are exceptions, that gets executed in those individual except block or a generalized except block. And whatever code might generate an error on an exception, that should always be defined inside the try block. That's the overall funda of this entire scenario. So that's all about the how you handle exceptions in Python. It's super easy, no complicated, and it's an extremely safe practice to use exception handling wherever you feel there might be some kind of an exception that might occur. So in those cases, it's always safe to use a try catch block, which won't allow your program to crash, at the same time handle those exceptions in a way how it should be handled. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this real quick video, and if you did like this video, do subscribe to my channel, press the like button, press the bell notification to get notified whenever I upload more videos. So just let me know in the comment section what kind of topics you want me for you to cover. Well, I'm planning to start a series on Azure specific to the IoT side of things. So I want to cover each and every stack that is present in Microsoft Azure with respect to IoT, which includes Azure Functions, which includes IoT Hub, the IoT Central, Docker, Kubernetes, MQTT Broker, Power BI, and a lot of stuffs. So if you're interested in any topics, do let me know in the comment section such that I can prepare these videos and come up with some amazing content for you guys. Thank you and have a great day ahead.